Geeks, Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek, and we've got the Apple event coming up. Expecting some new devices, expecting some updates, and a lot more. I'm trying to get my AirPods to charge up properly, but I think I'm gonna have to switch out headphones. I'll be right back. Give me a second. All right. Let's see. Uh, of course, I might just run on almost empty. I got a minute left. I keep this really low. I don't think that's gonna work. I'll just keep charging this puppy up. Got any questions? Feel free to put it in the chat. We're definitely going to be watching. It's okay. I think it's okay to do this. They're just basically doing this glow. They also have the ASL string, which if I choose that, it's going to have an ASL interpreter right there. That's pretty cool. And then back to the non-ASL, which is where we're going to be. But for the most part, I'm going to be like this. We have to watch on what I have to watch what I can show, because of course there's copyright. But we're definitely not going to be doing the audio on this. We're going to be doing the video, and it looks like it's starting now. Looks like we got nice little feel, just like how they normally shoot out the Apple event. And here we go. Let's bring this back in, see what happens. Nothing. Sometimes. Let's get the there we go. Let's do this. So yeah, right now Tim Cook is actually speaking. There we go. It's talking about how the innovation should be easy to use. All right. Yeah, he's continuing to talk right from the pre-recorded. He's going to talk about the new announcements and a lot more. So he's going to Craig, and of course they're doing. I'm guessing a lot of this stuff was shot on iPhone and other devices, Apple related. So there's Craig Federy. Platform improvements. Yep. Trust and safety is the next one. Apple Intelligence and Siri. We knew that AI was going to get rebuilt from this whole thing because they tried and it didn't work the way they wanted it to. So these are all the platforms they're going to work on. And then they're going to start with Mac OS. Crack marketing team. Summer of Love. There is definitely some animation there, and I'm guessing that there's going to be a lot. That animation is going to be a big key. Although it looks like they got a little VW bug, an old VW bug. No, it's a new one. A new one. That's Golden Gate, man. Wow. Golden Gate is the next version. So they got they're getting ready for the improvements. So let's check that out. And they're going over to Stacy Ford right here. Just talking about how they're refining the systems. Big screen. All right, talking about the design. And then now they're going to Shabum. That's Shabum Kidia. Liquid glass. Okay. So they're talking about liquid glass and how they're going to make it better. So it's a little default look. And of course, they're talking about clear versus tinted appearance. New slider for liquid glass right there. That's pretty cool. And of course, if you have vision problems, this is going to be great. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to expand it, make it bigger. All right. Saying in a more uniform toolbar. I want them to do the scroll bars better. I mean, they're so thin, they're so small. It's terrible. And they're doing the refractions. You see that going through on the side there. Sidebar icons are getting color. That's pretty cool. And of course, design the corners. I'm also going to be watching some of the images that are coming through and showing you through The Verge and through Macworld. That is where I'm going to do. So these are the looks. If you go from all clear to tinted, that's pretty cool. Personally, I'm going to go about 50-50 myself. Cool. So there's a lot of design stuff. 30% faster. Interesting. I'm wondering, is this going to be for 18, 17, 16? And which MacBooks? 70% faster. That's crazy. AirDrops 80% faster. Wow. That's crazy. All right. Well, I'm not sure how it's going to do that. Is it? It might be because of that new chip that they're putting in. They have a CPU scheduler. Interesting. Manages CPU resources. Okay. Oh wow! All the way to back to iPhone 11. That's crazy. That's great. That's great. So you'll be able to use your I'll be able to use my iPhone 12. I won't have some of the features, especially when it comes to some of the AI features, but that's okay. Interesting. Yeah, those ellipsises will probably be a little bit better now. We'll see what happens with that. No, they're talking about search. They rebuilt search, the search index. Interesting. All right. Windows does this too. They have the ability to search, and you could turn that off. And I believe you can turn that off here because if you've got an older machine, that can really slow down what you're doing in trying to search on that. And they're talking about email also doing a ranking and searching, but for the most part, it'll probably catalog when you're not on the computer. Okay, a little bit more photos. Be nice if they increase the iCloud storage. Full resolution sharing. Interesting. I don't think that happens to me. Now they're talking about Apple Vision Pro. That's pretty cool. Do you own an Apple Vision Pro? Let me know in the comments there. Flyover's getting an update. That's good. It's only going to get better and better and better, and that's what I love about it. Is you'll be able to see your building, your house, um, and a lot more. So being able to get from point A to point B is going to be even better. I like this. Trust and safety. Encryption's nice. I like that. I like that. The biggest reason I got away from an Apple Watch, though, was because of battery, and hopefully that will be fixed. Even with the older iWatches, Apple Watches, that's what I was trying to think of. Okay, that's Dr. Sumbul Ahmed Desari. I think that's how you pronounce the name. They're shaping Apple Child safety. Think about it. You used to have these Cricket phones, which were like the big button phones. They would just have like one or two buttons to it, and that would call a house or call an emergency or whatnot. Think of how an iPhone would work if it had that option to rearrange buttons and then knock it down and create special buttons for you. That'd be interesting. I don't think that's what she's talking about, but okay. So would you give your child an iPhone? And keep it in mind, you could give them your old iPhone, your iPhone 11, iPhone 12. You'd be able to do that. All right, they're talking about a lot of child related stuff, and that's great and everything like that. But this is not the way to start WWDC. This is nice and everything. I how as a developer will I use this? Will I think about this? And yeah, they're talking to the consumer. They're not talking to the developer, which is a little bit disheartening when it comes to WWDC. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of code inside there that will talk about that or be able to allow you to make the changes inside of your app. But yeah, they're talking about the ratings now. I love it. Explain everything. That's a great whiteboard. Okay, they're talking about front and center for entertainment, games, and social media for time allowances for kids. I suppose you could do that in your app as well if you develop an app or whatnot. Yeah, they're spending a lot of time on this. It's nice that they can set up a scheduler and everything like that, but this section should have been shortened at least half of that. There's a ton of apps, yeah. Okay. Okay, they're talking about the controls and the apps. And the role of developers right there. Okay, that's a full list of resources. All right. Okay, back to Craig. Once again, don't get me wrong. I like these child features. The problem is this is WWDC and the focus should really be on the developers, not the consumers. All right, now they're talking about the AI rebuild, and they're not going to talk about how they failed the first time. It's just not. You wouldn't do that, would you? No. Now they're talking about safety, and this is actually a part that I agree with on safety of AI being not being able to give you the keys to the castle, give you enough to do the work you need to do. And that's the important thing because AI can go a really wrong direction. New Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence 2.0 is really what it is. Yeah. New architecture. Next generation of Apple Foundation models. Private cloud compute, which means they could charge you for it. Okay. A new system orchestrator. Okay. Just by asking. All right. It's talking about AI going out to the web. And this is something that developers in your app, they probably have already chosen an AI to work with. It's either going to be Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT. But now they got to consider Apple into this thing. And what that means is that some of these apps are going to have to rebrand. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Apple did some sort of, I don't know, if you use Apple, there's an advantage, but if you use ChatGPT, not so much. I don't know. I don't know how they do that, but it's very possible that could happen. And they talk about privacy. Is Apple Intelligence gonna holding on to your information and not put it into the LLM? On-device processing and private cloud compute. Okay. Well, that's good. Data is only used, so you're creating your own LLM. I'm wondering how that works, and I'm wondering if there's going to be a cap on that too. And they're redeveloping Siri. That's pretty cool. Using a lot of bikes. That's a Google thing. Little Siri. Siri AI. Siri AI. I don't know. He said, "Hey, SIRI," instead of just SIRI. That's interesting. More conversational. I wonder what that means. There's a dedicated app. Interesting. Okay. That'll be cool, but how will that work on locked phones? How will that work on your CarPlay? How will that work on my CarPlay? My CarPlay is now 6 years old. Suki Waterhouse. Who's that? In San Francisco. I'm not going. Now he's asking how to get tickets. Yeah. Well, if the new Siri does stuff like this, it'll be more useful in creating reminders. What I'd love to see is a Shazam type situation where I can say, "Hey, can you identify this song? Can you identify this movie?" Like this. He's identifying the location through that. That's cool. I don't live in California, no. Okay. There we go. That's pretty cool. New voice experience. I don't know. The voices on Siri have been a lot better than in years past. Of course, it's not one voice. It's went from one voice to eight voices, all the way to multiple voices and different accents and languages. So if you are German, you get a German speaking voice, and you get the idea. This isn't new stuff, but they're expanding those voices, and that's pretty cool. You won't have to learn how to write anymore because you'll have your computer do it. All the grammar, all the periods, all the commas and dashes and everything like that. It'll do that. And it extends to CarPlay and AirPods, but how old of a CarPlay are we talking? That's a big question because that could slow down an older CarPlay, right? Hey, Bulls Promo TV, how you doing? Once again, and these are great features, but as a developer, why do I care? I mean, let's get to the meat and potatoes here. Let's get to the devices, the things that you have to program for. He wants to do a watch party. He's asking for food. That's funny. Should have grabbed a water. Oops. Yeah, he just spent 3, 4 minutes on this whole thing, and that's great. But come on. Yeah, and they're not even speeding this up, so they just sat there for like 15 seconds. It's great that you can plan a party. Oh, now we got to go to macOS and show you the same thing. Okay. Series in Spotlight, which is pretty cool. I can't wait for that to happen. That'd be sweet. All right. This is boring and long drawn out. What do you think? Bulls, what do you think? Is this Yeah, we know that a lot of them do misspellings. That's not new. Gemini does that. Hey, Wayne from Australia, how you doing? I can't really stream it. I can give you clips for a couple seconds, but that's pretty much it. So they have the new Siri app. That's good. It's definitely going to really compete with ChatGPT, and I'm guessing that you'll also be able to use the Siri app on a Windows device or an Android device. I mean, I could be wrong, but right now they're talking about the ecosystem of Apple, but the reality is it could be on PC, and that's what I'm waiting to find out. I'm wondering if you'll have to be able to log into iCloud to use the Siri app, but we'll see what happens. Ferrari. All right. Identify what's in photos. Okay. So this is what Apple should have done at the beginning in their first version of Apple Intelligence. Get nutritional. I don't normally do this. You might not do this, but now if you're looking not to split the tab, but if you're looking to count calories, this might be a great way to do that. All right. It's usually like a screen grab to go into Siri and ask, how can I make this, or what is this, or whatever. I'm talking about visual intelligence, which is the newer part of that. I'm wondering if this is going to also be on Apple TV. We do it all the time. We sit there and we go, "Hey, who is that actor in that movie?" So if you had an Apple TV, you could say, "Who's that person?" and get the key information maybe on your phone rather than on the Apple TV. That'd be cool. Remember the days when we had to go to the pub to Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. It's nice to have proofreading, but you also have to proofread sometimes the proofread. Keep that in mind. All right. It's a lot of Siri AI there. I'm really excited to see how it works, but I'm a little concerned that it's not going to be something that will work with me across different platforms. Then again, Apple doesn't really care about what I do on Windows too much, and I get that. That audio doesn't sound like bits. Beth Dakin. The Safari update. That's pretty cool. Never did figure out FaceTime on Apple TV. Yeah. I'm not even running an Apple TV. I don't even know where my Apple TV is. Hmm. I do have one. Safari is doing tab organization. This is something that Chrome has been doing for a while now. New related tabs to, I don't know if I want to have my tabs changing without my permission or my work. Safari can monitor a page. Now, if you're going for tickets or that classic scene in Big Bang Theory where they're refreshing for San Diego Comic Con, yeah, of course, privacy. All right, 55 minutes in. Describe an extension. That's pretty cool. Can you make your own web page from that? Passwords. I actually love passwords on both Chrome and Apple. And of course, it's now going to tell you about weak and compromised passwords. I got a lot of, cameras that I don't do heavy passwords on, but I'd like to be able to say, exclude that password because that's going to get nowhere. It's not going to hack into a system or anything like that. Wow. They'll actually fix and change a new password. Oh, wow. If you're using Chrome and Apple, that could definitely cause a cross browser platform issue. Okay. Okay. Calendar now has Apple Intelligence. Well, that's cool. One notification, because I get these notifications if I'm in the garage and I've got my security camera constantly sending me messages. It'd be nice if I just had one message every 10 minutes or something like that, giving me more descriptions. That's pretty cool in there. I like the fact that it recognizes who I am, but it doesn't have to tell me every 10 seconds that I'm there. Does this mean it's putting pictures onto my phone? That'll kind of suck. All right, talking about shortcuts. Okay. Once again, we're just it's great that we're learning about shortcuts and everything like that, but how is this helping the developers? And I think they need to this is just so slow. Image playground. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. Having some fun with generative AI. Yeah. That's pretty cool. They're definitely talking about private cloud compute again. I've done this many times on GPT and Gemini, where like we're doing I'm my band's playing a thing called Burgers on the Bay, so I took a picture of us on a pontoon with hamburger, and I said put hamburgers into it, and then I cleaned up the lake, and then I I been able to do all that. So hopefully this will do a better job in creating images for what you're doing. Your grandma on a skateboard, that'd be cool. Oh, there we go. Image Playground API. This is key right here for developers. So you could actually put this into your apps, and that's pretty cool. Okay. Clean up, extend, and reframe. That's pretty cool. I love cleanup. Cleanup's a great tool. You getting an upgrade on that? That's awesome. I love the fact that when it calls it up, it looks for certain things and then be able to just instantly highlight it. So I can just tap it and it's gone, like a person behind me. Now there's a little bit of extend tool. That's pretty cool. Yep, here we go. This is a one more thing part. A frame out above Simon's head, or wished it would have been a little bit more centered, right? Or missed the contact. Spatial reframing. That's cool. All right, he's going to show us how it works. Have I been to the Apple building? Yeah, I have been to the Apple building once. Once. It's okay. I've been to the consumer side of the Apple building. I haven't been inside Apple though. Oh wow. Shifting the perspective. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty sweet little option. That's a pretty cool feature to have that reframe option in there because then you can do a little bit of perspective change and that helps a lot. That's pretty cool. Okay. I'm liking these features a lot, especially that reframe option, because that can definitely change the game in some of the images that I'm creating. Okay. Daily usage. Yeah, right there. Wow. So Apple Intelligence, it could be something that's awesome. It could be something you're going to have to pay for a lot. That concerns me a little bit because you're already paying a lot for the phone. Why would you adding subscription fees upon subscription fees just to use a phone is really concerning, I think. Yeah. I missed that, but it's only going to be on iPhone 17 or better. He's looking more and more like Steve Martin, don't you think? I don't know. That's what I think. He's a wild and crazy guy. Where's the arrow on his head? It's a joke. It's just joking. All right, now we're getting to the developers. Wow. 1 hour in, we're into the developer part. All right, talking about app intents. Okay. So they can bring back my 27-inch iMac. 2019 is getting out of no, anything that has Intel in it is gone. They made that announcement a couple weeks ago. It's time to get an M1 or better. He's talking about his shirt. All right. Identification for purchasing. Think about this. That means that Apple can go to like a Macy's or something like that. And then all of a sudden, Macy's ads are going to be above on everything. And if you need to get a blue shirt, you're going to Macy's to do that. Agentic coding. There we go. Going to Xcode. Oh, you can choose your model. That's cool. Okay. And eventually it'll probably be Apple Intelligence, right? Oh, Device Hub. That's cool. That's awesome. That is awesome. 75 minutes back to Tim. Beta's today. Okay. Public beta next month. Okay. There we go. Oh yeah, now it's the goodbye from Tim Cook. Wow. All right. So we just shot okay, yeah, on iPhone, edited on Mac. Yeah, now and they're gonna be doing an appreciation. Looks like they got Eric the architect. I don't know who that is. So I'm gonna mute that down and bring that down. And I'm gonna do this really quick. Hold on. All right. Let's talk about this. Give me a second here. All right. So what they've been talking about was Apple Intelligence, and they talked about the new Mac OS San Francisco. And that's great. That is great. They didn't do much. I mean, they're telling developers this is how it's going to work, but how did that really work for developers? And now they didn't say a single thing about hardware. They didn't say anything about the M5 chip. They didn't say anything about the A20 chip that's coming down the road, which means that there's really no changes that people will have to make for their phones, for their tablets, for their MacBooks or their iMacs, except for Apple Intelligence, bringing in the AI aspect into Siri a little bit more, being able to bring it into your apps, and of course using then of course using ChatGPT and Gemini and all those into that. But I'm still a little bit concerned on, well, I mean, they run WWDC, however they run WWDC. If there is going to be a foldable phone, for example, this should have been when they talked about it. This is where the people, the developers get ready for this. And a lot of the rumors, they just technically got debunked or at least put off for a couple more months. So I'm pretty unimpressed with I am not a fan of the recorded keynote, period. I think that keynotes need to be live because you can then look at that person and they're looking at a crowd. So if they say something that's technically not true, you can see that in their eyes. And that's what a live keynote does. This pre-recorded thing to make it look as pretty as possible and saying, we shot it on an iPhone and edited on an iMac. That's great. But it doesn't give you the warm fuzzy that the Apple keynotes used to do. There's no reaction. There's no mistakes. There's no humor. There's no on-stage performance. There's no nothing. And that's pretty sad when it comes to this type of keynote. And I have a feeling, I don't know how many people watched. We'll find out. We'll see, and we'll see what the reactions. But right now, this keynote, this WWDC, did not gear towards developers the way that I wanted it to see gear towards developers. And it gave us information, which is great. But this is information that could have been in a different type of keynote at a different time. I don't know. I I really wish they would have at least talked about the hardware going to M5. And if even if it was just like a word like, hey, we're going to M5, we're going to A20, there's not going to be much change in those except for the ability for AI to come, or Apple Intelligence to come in and make a play on that. And that's it. So I give this keynote C minus, C to C minus. It's pretty much spent 75 minutes talking about features that are nice, but they could have done that in half the time. And they could have given us a roadmap onto the next chips. And they didn't. They didn't. So anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below over at youtube.com/Geekazine. Like, subscribe, and of course the bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. If you like this video, let me know, and I'll do more reactions as we go. And I tried to give you something of what I was seeing to show that to you. So hopefully we didn't get any issues with that. But if we did, I'll have to take care of it. The whole point is that if you have any questions, let me know, and let's talk about it. Thanks a lot for hanging out, even if you hung out for a couple minutes. You guys geek out and take care.